Hi guys, I'm Haley. Chad and Esther asked me to throw together a video of some stretching and yoga that I like to do. That way you guys can be keeping up with stretching while you're at home. Really important while you're doing all those strength training exercises. I'm not a yoga teacher, I just really love yoga. I've been doing it for probably seriously for about 5 to 6 years, and I really love it. I also have a degree in dance, so stretching's always been a part of my life. So yeah, just follow along and we'll get going. Great. So first thing, you're gonna start in child's pose. So bring your knees to the width of your mat or just a little bit past hip width if you're not using a mat. And you're going to walk your hands down forward towards the front of the room. Rest your head down between your arms and think about pushing your hips to the back wall and bringing your hands forward to the front wall. You should feel this release in your low back and in your shoulders. I like to take some deep breaths. Expanding my rib cage can give you a good lat stretch. All right, so now you're gonna lift up onto all fours as we transition into downward facing dog. All right, so you're gonna tuck your toes under and extend into your back legs here. The goal here is not necessarily to straighten your legs, it's to lift up out of your shoulders, keep a straight back, and keep your hips lifted towards the ceiling. You'll feel the stretch in your back legs and your shoulders and your neck. I like to turn my head a little bit when I first try this position out. And just kind of settle in. You can straighten one leg to get a deeper calf stretch. And do the same on the other side. Right. All right, so now we're going to take our left foot towards the front of your mat, settle down into a runner's lunge. From here, you should be feeling the stretch in your front right hip and maybe even in your left leg. If this feels like enough, you can totally stay here. Otherwise, you can heel toe your left foot to the side edge of your mat. Bring your left arm to the inside of your left knee and settle down onto your forearms. Here, I definitely feel a deeper stretch in my left hip as well as my right hip and the hip flexor in your right hip. Okay, straighten your arms out and heel toe your foot back between your arms. And we're going to straighten the left leg and go into a modified split here. Straighten your left leg, flex your heel. You want to make sure that your hips stay square so that you're really stretching that hamstring. So that means pulling your left hip back and your right hip forward. Keep your back straight and your gaze neutral, kind of gazing down towards your heel. And you're gonna go bend back into that left knee. And from here, we're gonna do a quad stretch. So you're gonna bend your right back leg, reach around if you can, and grab onto your foot. You can balance here on your knee, or if you need to hold on to the ground, you can do that as well. My quads are incredibly tight, and so some of you know I've been working really hard to stretch them out every day, but it's just something that gets me. straighten that back leg down. And we're gonna go ahead and push back up into downward facing dog. So flex your back right toes and lift up, bringing your left leg back towards the right. All right, and here, same things, just lifting up out of your shoulders, keeping your back straight and your hips rotated up towards the ceiling. Okay, now we're going to bring your right leg forward. Okay, same thing, runner's lunge. You can rest your left knee on the ground, and you can absolutely stay here. Make sure that your hips are square, so pulling that right hip back and your left hip forward, and making sure that your knee is not going farther than your toes. And if you want to, you can heel toe your foot to the side edge of your mat. Bring your right arm to the inside of your right knee and rest down on your elbows. Okay, so now lift back up out of that position, heel toe your foot back between your arms, and we're gonna pull back into that half split position again. So straighten out your front leg, make sure that your hips are square, so pulling your right hip back and your left hip forward, and flexing that front foot. Keeping your gaze neutral, trying to keep your back straight. This is a really deep stretch into your hamstrings. Okay, push forward into that, and we're gonna do that quad stretch again. So you can, if you need to, stay with your right hand on the mat, or if you can lift up onto your, resting your weight on your right knee, you're going to reach around and grab your left foot. Just settle into this for a minute, keeping your hips as straight as you can towards the front, pulling that left hip forward. All right, and release that leg down. Go ahead and frame your leg again, and we'll push back into downward facing dog. All right, so here, settle in again, lifting up out of the shoulders till your hips towards the ceiling. Take a deep breath. All right, now we're gonna walk the hands back towards your feet for forward fold. In this position, you want your feet about hip width distance apart, so that means 2 fists between your feet here. And I just like to settle into ragdoll. You can bend your knees if you need to, and just rest your chest on your thighs. Cross your hands, connected elbows, and just hang there for a bit. All right, and now you're gonna wanna roll up slowly, standing up tall. All right, so now we're going to step out across your mat here, facing the side wall. And I know you can't see my face right now, but you're going to go ahead and bring your arms out wide and lean forward. If you need to, you can just stop here. Otherwise, we're going to bend all the way down. You can bend your knees in this position if you need to. You want your feet facing that wall so they're parallel to each other. Try and keep your back straight, and just try and pull yourself through your legs and putting weight a little bit farther into the balls of your feet. You can turn your head side to side here, nod yes and no. All right, so now what we're gonna do is you're going to drop into your right knee, tilt your toes towards the right corner of your mat, bend your right knee, and drop down into this position. So you're gonna have your left heel flexed, and you're going to have your knee over your right foot pointing towards that corner. You don't want your knee to fall in, you wanna push it back, and I use my arm to do that. You might need to be more on putting more weight on your arms when you're in this position, totally fine. Another thing I just like to remember is to keep my heel down. So I'm feeling a really deep stretch in my left inner thigh and also in my right hip. Okay, so now you can walk your hands over to the other side of your mat. Same thing. Point your left foot towards the corner here. Keep your left knee over that foot. Push your hip out with your elbow and flex your right foot. Alrighty, so now we're going to walk your hands to the center of your mat here, heel toe your feet in just a little bit, and you're gonna squat down, resting your hands on your knees. You can rotate your right shoulder towards the center, feeling a nice pop in your back, and a deeper stretch into that right inner thigh. And do the same thing on the other side. Pop in the back, like on cue. Rotate your left shoulder forward and feel a deeper stretch in your left inner thigh. Back to center. Okay, so now we're going to go back to forward fold at the back of your mat and bend forward, hip width distance apart with your feet here, and we're going to do gorilla pose. So you're going to flip your hand towards your face and you're going to stand on it with your feet. Both hands under your feet, and here you can definitely bend your knees as much as you need to. Rest your chest on the tops of your thighs if you need that, and then you're going to pull up from your hands and push back with your legs. Definitely gives me a pop in my back. It's a great active stretch for the back body. And I have really tight shoulders, so I feel this around my scapula. Even some release in my traps. And of course the hamstrings. Okay, so come out of that gently, and you're going to go ahead and take a seat in the middle of your mat, or actually like a little bit farther back. Okay, so next one, forward fold, but sitting. You're going to take your feet out in front of you, flex your feet, and lift up really tall. Try and keep your legs straight if you can, and reach forward. You're going to want to make sure that your back is as straight as it can be, and if you can, grab onto your toes. Keep your gaze neutral. You don't want to be looking up or tucking your head. Either way, that's going to curve your back in a way that you're not wanting to. And this you're definitely going to feel in your hamstrings and in your calves. All right, after a couple breaths here, you're going to release down, and you can let your back relax and let your head tuck towards your knees. ahead and straighten back out. Okay, now I'm gonna have you lie down on your back and bring your legs into a figure 4 position. So bring your right heel over your left knee and flex your right foot. And if you can, pull all of this towards your face. So just kind of gently holding on to your outer right knee and the front of your left knee. You should feel this stretch right here in the back of your hip. Okay, go ahead and switch. So set the left foot down on the ground. Bring your left foot, ankle crossing over your right knee, pushing that knee, your left knee out towards the other wall, and then bring everything towards you. Flexing your left foot to protect your knee. Okay, go ahead and rest your right foot back down on the ground. Put both feet on the ground. Sit up. And last thing we're going to do here is just a nice little front hip opener. So bring your feet into butterfly here with the soles of your feet touching. You might need to lift up a little bit just so you have all the space that you can to rotate into this position. Keep your back straight and lean forward, resting your forearms on the ground if you can. And gaze neutral, keeping your spine straight. All right, go ahead and gently lift up out of that, and we are all done. So I hope that you enjoyed it and that you got a good stretch out of this. I hope that you guys are staying safe, healthy, happy, reach out to one another, and thanks for Chad and Esther for asking me to do this.